Hello, I am Atasam, and today I'll be talking about the geography and government of Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. First, I'm going to be talking about the geography of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is a Greek word that means the land between the two rivers, which makes sense considering Mesopotamia is located between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates River. The two rivers begin in eastern Turkey and empty into the Persian Gulf. Mesopotamia is located in the present day Middle Eastern country Iraq. The climate in Mesopotamia is hot and dry, and it is mixed with seasonal floodings. The farmers in Mesopotamia have learned to control these floodings to their benefit by using the fertile land left from the flooding to grow different types of crops. Now, let's talk about the geography of ancient Egypt. Ancient Egyptians used to think of Egypt as it being divided into two lands, the Black Land and the Red Land. The Black Land was the fertile land by the Nile River. The ancient Egyptians used this land to grow their crops because the Black Land was the only land in ancient Egypt that could be used to farm because of the rich black silt that was left there every year after the Nile flooded. The Red Land was the barren desert that surrounded Egypt from both sides. Ancient Egyptians used this land as protection from invaders. The Red Land also provided ancient Egyptians with precious metals and semi precious stones. Okay, now we're going to talk about the type of governments and laws they had. Both ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia were theocracies, meaning the leader of the land was a priest for the gods. In ancient Egypt, the king was known as the pharaoh after the new kingdom and was by far the most important and powerful person in ancient Egypt. The pharaoh had various duties. He was the head of the government, the chief priest, and the country's leader. Many pharaohs also went to war when the land was threatened or they wanted control of foreign lands. If the pharaoh won the war, the people of that land had to recognize him as their ruler and offer him the finest and most valuable goods from their land. The pharaoh also had many titles as well, one being the lord of the two lands because he would rule Upper and Lower Egypt. Another title he had was the highest priest of every temple because he represented the gods on earth. The pharaoh the pharaoh also became a living god the moment he was crowned. The ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was the god Horus in human form and the child of the great god Re or Omen. The pharaohs were mostly males, but there were few females. A number of women ruled ancient Egypt when a male relative was not yet of age. The ancient Egyptians also believed in the afterlife. So to prepare a pharaoh for the afterlife, they would mummify the pharaohs and place them in temples where people would worship them. Okay, now let's talk about Mesopotamia's government. In Mesopotamia, their first leader was Sargon the First. He ruled for approximately 50 years. When he died, the empire he once ruled began to crumble and city-states rose to power. And then, in approximately the year 1800 BC, the Amorites migrated to Mesopotamia and began to construct their own city-states. One of the city-states built by them was called Babylon, which was ruled by a king named Hammurabi. Hammurabi soon started to gain power and started to unite the city-states once more. He united them more successfully than Sargon and made many reforms to improve society. For example, he improved the irrigation system, the tax system, and the government housing system, and also united the people under one religion. Hammurabi was most around for his code of laws, which were seen as something that provided consistent justice and covered many aspects of daily life. But Hammurabi's code of laws were also known to be very harsh and had laws like an eye for an eye. Well, that is all, folks. Today I covered the geography and the government of both ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Goodbye.